Hi everyone, this is the end of July and hiking has been in full swing. Hiking is actually very popular from the beginning of spring until the end of the fall, but it can be very dangerous during the summer due to the high heat. You sweat more, you burn more calories, it's easy for you to get exhausted, to dehydrate, and to get overheated. So in this video, I'm going to show you how you can prepare to have a safe and enjoyable hike. I live in the Central Valley, and now I actually live an hour and a half from Yosemite National Park, which is a very popular park. And every year we hear about several people who have gone missing, and later we hear that they have passed away on their hike. And these are often experienced hikers, and most of the time the problem is that they ran out of water. Water is one thing, food is the other. They are both equally important. So in this video, I'm going to focus on liquids and food. So let's talk about liquids first. It is often said that you can only live about 9 days without water, which means you could live up to 9 days without water. But if you're hiking and you're exposed to the high heat and the sun, those 9 days can be greatly reduced to just a couple of days. So water is super important. Whether it's cold or hot, it actually doesn't matter. Water is water, but I always try to bring cold water with me. So first of all, this is the water bottle of a carbonated drink, which I love. It has no calories or anything, but this has water. So I fill it with water and I keep it in my freezer. So when I go hiking, I just grab a couple and put them in my backpack. This will actually stay frozen for quite some time. So I don't just rely on this because depending on the weather, for a couple of hours, I might not have anything to drink because it's still frozen. So the next thing I always have is a water bottle like this. This can be twisted off. It has a very large mouth. I fill it with ice and then I fill it with water. So I drink this first and then I go on to my ice water. And often what will happen is the water is gone, but this huge big ice block is still here. In that case, you could fill it with your remaining of the water, and there you have it. I think the rule of thumb is to always carry more water than you think you should, because worst case scenario, you just bring it back home. Yes, it's heavier, but what's more important, whether your backpack is heavy or that you get dehydrated and possibly have to be rescued. Now, I want to point out that other drinks such as tea or juice or coffee or energy drinks or whatever, they do not count as water. You can't take soda with you and expect your body to work the same as if it was water. So if soda is your thing, that's in addition to water. So this brings me to my next point. I actually feel that besides water, I need other things. I need sodium and I need a little bit of sugar. So two things I bring. One is clamato juice, and I know people will frown on this because most people drink it with beer, and otherwise they don't like it. I love the flavor. I could actually live off of this. So what I do, I save these little water bottles. I fill this and I take it with me. The next thing I have is a little bit of juice. It could be any kind of juice. I don't need that much, so I just take a little bottle like this and I have it with me. And the reason I do this is because last year when I was hiking in Utah, I hiked for a whole month, just me and my dog, in the high heat all day long. And I was doing it day after day. On like day 3, I felt so burnt out. I kind of had a mental fog and just felt so strange that I was thinking like, oh my gosh, can I do this? How am I going to do this tomorrow and the next day? And I realized that I was drinking a lot of water. I was drinking a gallon of water every day. I would drink about 3 of these on my hikes, but I wasn't replenishing the sodium that I lost while I was sweating and the sugar and the electrolytes. So I started taking clamato juice and some grape juice with me, and right away on day 1 I actually felt so much better. So this is important in my opinion. If you don't want to take juice with you, any kind of juice, you can actually use Gatorade or Powerade or any of these kind of drinks. So this has sugar and sodium. According to this, one serving will have 6% of your daily sodium and 21 grams of sugar. So this is probably a good choice. I don't like this so much, so I prefer this. Whatever you choose, just keep in mind sodium and sugar in addition to your water. I mentioned to you that soda or energy drinks or anything like that, they don't count as water. So if you take any of these things, this is actually sparkling water. It's caffeinated sparkling water. So I might take one of these with me to drink to give me some extra caffeine, but I do not count this as water. The same as energy drinks or anything else. If you're going to do that, take it in addition. By the way, I don't like to take anything with a can because then I'm left with the trash and I have to carry it. I just rather do reusable things. That's why I have a set of these, and that's what I use. Take more than you think you need, and take mostly water. Now, if you don't want to use frozen water, it's okay. And if your water gets hot, it's still hydrating. I mean, I have had hot water in the heat and it was still hydrating. I mean, the main point I want to make is that it's all about the calories. You could have all kinds of preferences and it will work, but you need to have a certain amount of calories to be able to keep going and to have the energy to get there and to get back safely. But here's the thing, if you're going to take some junk food with you, like a big cheeseburger and some chips and candy and chocolate and things like that, you will have a lot of calories. So that will kind of work, but it's not going to give you as much nutrition. You're going to feel sluggish. You're not going to have the same energy as if you had the same amount of calories with some lean protein, some healthy fats, and some good carbs. The first thing is carbohydrates. This can be crackers, really any kind of crackers. It's going to be about the same calories, the same carbohydrates, the same fats, the same sodium, things like that. Or it can be bread. You can actually make this into a sandwich. And I'm going to talk about this later because this is more like a complex meal, which is my favorite. So carbohydrates are needed for your body for instant energy. So when you're hiking for a couple of hours and you feel like you don't have the energy, you need to stop. Your blood sugar might be going down, or you're drained. You eat a couple of crackers or a handful of crackers. You have a slice of bread. All of a sudden, you will have that quick energy, and that will last for a little while. Long-term energy is protein. Protein is very important for building your muscles and things like that long term, but it also gives you long-term energy. So you will need some short-term and some long-term energy. You can't just rely on protein, and you can't just rely on carbohydrates. So some good choices for protein. I take some extra lean ham. Of course, I would take it in a Ziploc bag. Or salami, I like a lot because it's kind of dry salami, so it's not going to go bad as quickly, for example, as ham would in the heat. You could take some cooked chicken, things like that. Just keep in mind how quickly they can go bad if you're hiking in the heat. You can also have nuts, cashews, almonds, peanuts, whatever, and cheese. So these will also fall into a different category, but these will give you some really good energy, and this is very much needed. When you eat protein, you often consume fat. Of course, that's not always the case. If you're taking some chicken breast, that's usually just pure protein. So is this ham. This is just protein, no fat. But everything else I have just shown you, all of these will have a high percentage of fat, and that is actually very important because we convert fat into energy, and we do that quickly. Another thing I actually just realized I had here, some sardines. You could have all kinds of different things. Like I said, I don't like things that come in cans or packages like this because then I'm left with having to take this with me, and this will be kind of smelly. But if you like it, take it with you, get a Ziploc bag, and then seal it. I want to make a second important point about food is that when you decide what you're going to take with you, you probably also want to consider the weight versus calories. So for example, nuts are a good choice because this is super light, but it will give you 270 calories. You take two of these, we're talking over 500 calories right here, some good fats and protein. Cheese is another one that I really like because it's high in calorie, high in fat, high in protein. It's all healthy, and it's not heavy. You could take all of these separately, or you could make a complex meal. And this is what I was talking about when I mentioned a sandwich. So this sandwich here has bread, some butter, some mustard, because I like that, cheese, salami, and ham. So basically everything you have here is in one sandwich. So I actually prefer this. I like it more than dry crackers, although I always take some crackers in addition. So this way, when I stop, I just eat a sandwich and then I'm basically ready to go. Another idea of a complex meal are dehydrated foods. So this is by Mountain House, but there are now more and more companies making this kind of food, and this is actually a very good choice. It's super lightweight. I can barely feel it, and it will give me, if I eat this whole package, this particular one will give me 560 calories. It's packed with protein, with carbs, with, you know, some sugar and some sodium. It's all good energy, and basically all you need is, this is what I do, take one of these little mugs, it's super light, and then I take one of these compact stoves. This comes out, you open this up just like this, and of course it needs the fuel in the bottom, which I didn't bring, but it's very small and it's very lightweight, and it's actually good for a long time. So then you put it on, turn it on, and you boil some water. That water then you pour in here, you bring a spoon with you, and you eat it. And here it is, 500 calories. Another complex meal, well, sort of a meal, are granola bars. There are all kinds of different ones. This is just one kind. You could find 20 different things that you might like at the stores, and they will all work. They will have different components, so you could look at the nutrition label. They will all have carbs and protein and fat and sugar, not so much sodium, and it will vary. Some of them will have more carbohydrates, some will have more protein, some will be high in sugar, some will be low. I myself don't like sugar so much. I know I need some to keep going, but I don't necessarily want to have it in like high sugary foods. So I don't prefer granola bars or protein bars so much. I'd rather have a sandwich and rely on that, and then maybe have one of these just in case. So like I said, it's based on your preference, and you might be the type of person that will take 10 of these and that will work for you. Now, I do want to talk to you about something else. This is not protein or carbs or fat, but I think it's just as important in my opinion. And these are some fruits and vegetables. So here I have some celery and some cucumbers, and I have some apples. I like these because these also have additional nutrients and minerals. They have some sodium or natural sugars, and they also have some form of liquid. So if I was to eat a granola bar, I would have to drink a lot of water after, because it's pretty thick, pretty dense, and now I would be drinking up all my water. But I noticed if I have a sandwich and I have some celery, some cucumbers, and some apples, I'm actually already more refreshed, and I don't need to drink that much water, which means I don't have to take that much water with me. What can you take with you? Vegetables. You want to make sure that it's not something that will be squishy or give too much liquid. So I love tomatoes, those are my favorite, but it's not good to take, because by the time you take it out of your bag, the liquid will be all in the bottom and it's just gonna be a mess. You know, things like oranges and grapes, they could be easily squished. So you want to have celery, cucumbers, red bell peppers for vegetables. I think these are the best. Apples, maybe some cut up pineapples, anything that's hard and it will be okay in a Ziploc bag, maybe packed down a little bit. Here's my third important point. Just with water is the same with food. You need to take more food with you than you think you need, because you need to accept the fact that you might get lost, or something happens and that delays you, and you can't get back as quickly as you thought you could, and you might have to spend 3 hours extra. You might have to come back the hard way and have to climb that hill and then climb down, and you will need to have energy to do that. So not just water, but you need to have fuel to do that. Always take more, and worst case scenario, I bring it back and I eat it later, or even if I have to throw it away, it's still better than being out there and wishing I had water or wishing I had food and there's no way to get it. You can actually educate yourself further about this by talking to hunters and hikers. So how do you talk to hunters? You can go to blog posts, you could join some Facebook groups. There are lots of Facebook groups. That's pretty much a group for anything, and you could ask them, because backcountry hunters, they will hike and then hunt, and they can be taking, you know, a lot of unnecessary stuff. They have to make really good choices with, you know, high calorie, low weight items, because if they do get a deer or an elk or anything and they have to take that back, they don't have the energy to carry all kinds of unnecessary things besides that game. So they are very smart about what they pack, and a lot of the times they have learned this from their fathers and their grandfathers, and it has been passed down generation to generation. So there's a lot of wisdom in there. So that's one thing. Another thing is hikers. There are some hardcore hikers out there, which something I could never do. I mean, people who hike the Pacific Crest Trail, or they do through hikes, which a through hike is something where you start hiking here and then you hike, I don't know, 50 miles and then you end up there. The type of hikes I do, I start here, I go, and then I come back. But these people, they have to take everything with them, and they have to make very, very good decisions about what they take, what kind of food, and also hiking gear and everything. So there's a magazine, it's called Backpackers Magazine, and I subscribe to it. It's very interesting. I've learned a lot of interesting things. I've read that if you're doing the hiking where you hike like 10-12 hours a day, you need to consume 200 calories every hour. So that comes to about 2,000 calories, and that's not even enough. I think that's just why you're hiking. Your dinner and your breakfast, it doesn't even count, because normally a healthy adult would be eating about 2,400 calories. And if you're hiking and you're on your feet all day long, you probably want to consume about 3,500 to 4,000 calories just to keep everything. So this is not the time to, you know, think about your diet and all that stuff. You need to feed your body so that you can stay safe and healthy and get back to where you're going or where you came from, and you can continue to do so and you don't get burnt out. So basically, this is all I can tell you about, you know, food and drinks, about hiking. There's a lot more about your clothing and what to take with you and how to prepare, but that would be another video. But let me know if you find this helpful, and definitely let me know if you have a different way of doing things, because I always like to learn, and maybe this way other people that are looking at my video and looking at the comments, they might learn from you as well. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time.